ought to be in pictures. You're wonderful to see. You ought to be in.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is James, joined as ever by my good friend Steve. And this episode, we are starting with a bit of sad news, as Dame Maggie Smith has just passed away, aged 89.
Yeah, it's very sad to see, James. I think one of my earliest memory of Maggie Smith was Murder by Death, the comedy. Truman Capote's in it. It's like a whole cast of characters. David Niven's in it. It's just a wonderfully funny movie. And it reminds me, there was a time when Maggie Smith was the sex symbol. I mean, she's gorgeous in this movie. She is, when I was a young teen watching, it's like, wow, she's so beautiful. And most newer audiences see her as the Dowager from Downton Abbey or from the Harry Potter movies. And she's the old grandmotherly figure. I'm old enough to remember when she could turn a head.
Oh, for sure. I mean, she was always sort of the sassy young modern woman who, would take no shit from the guys and would sort of stand up for herself. I'm trying to think what I first saw her in. It was probably, the film that I'm not entirely sure whether I've seen it is The Pride of Miss Jean Brodie. I'm sure I have. Mm-hmm. Because I grew up in that kind of household. Both my parents are teachers or were teachers. And so films like sort of Pride of Miss Jean Brodie, see, even as I'm saying it now, I'm questioning myself. I'm like, Miss Jean Brodie was a teacher, right? And I'm sort of like, was she a teacher? Was she a governess? Was she? And films like that we would have been sat in front of those, or we would have watched them when they came on the TV as a very young child. But that's probably the one that I feel most compelled now to go back to. It's what she won her Oscar for in, I think, 1969. Something like that.
I've never seen it, so now I actually, maybe it'll be something I'll watch this week.
Excellent. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? That sounds good. But yeah, obviously, yes, as we said, for generations and generations, she will be this is why I thought of you, because you're such a Downton Abbey head.
Yes. Oh, she's so, she is so good in that show. She's so sad. I mean, you're talking about, she always played the sassy young lady who wouldn't take any. I mean, that's what she was in Downton Abbey. She just plays that so well. The witticisms, the way that she could deliver just a cutting knife line that would zoom over someone's shoulder, come around and hit them right in the back.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's nothing simpler than avoiding people you don't like. Avoiding one's friends, that's the real test. Oh, do you think I might have a drink? Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were a waiter.
I mean, there's like 5 or 6 seasons of that, plus the movies. It's. I was thinking when I heard she passed, how the last Downton Abbey film, I think they realized she's getting quite old now, and so they wrote into the story her death, and even then, as she's dying in the deathbed, and everybody's kind of talking around her, she can I even die in peace? It's like I just thought, I love this woman. She's brilliant. She lived a life well lived. In fact, that was one of the things when we were talking about it this morning here at the house. Our helper Mary, that was the first thing she said: a life well lived. And
well said. For sure. It's interesting you brought up Murder by Death, because working through the gears now, almost certainly what I knew her from first, or I recognized her in first, were those Agatha Christie movies that she did.
Of course.
She's in Murder in the Orient Express. She's in Death on the Nile.
Yes.
I'm not sure if she's in Evil Under the Sun, but those films were on heavy rotation in my household from a very, very young age. My mum is a huge Agatha Christie fan. It's one of the authors that they sort of my parents pushed on me very early on. This was when the Joan Hickson Miss Marple show was on, and when obviously the Suchet Poirot was on. And so anytime, but I suppose it's from that Death on the Nile movie and the Evil Under the Sun why my go-to Poirot was always Peter Ustinov rather than David Suchet.
So, Murder on the Orient Express is one of the first books I ever remember reading, and and I loved the movie with, of course, Maggie Smith, but I was a big Michael York fan. I'm still a Michael York fan. And
of course.
Yeah. So
he's there too. Yeah. So she was always part of that kind of ensemble of classically trained, British theatrical thespians, real thespians.
Right.
So it's totally understandable that she would have been drafted into the Harry Potter franchise.
Of course,
that is a veritable who's who of British talent, to the point when you occasionally come across somebody who isn't in the Harry Potter movies, like a sort of, I don't know, Kate Winslet or someone like that, and they've always you get the impression they've always kind of got the hump slightly. It's like, where was my Harry Potter character?
Surely there had to be at least one character I played.
Yeah, I saw it was James McAvoy being introduced the other day, and they were like, "Well, why weren't you in the Harry Potter movies?" It seemed kind of like a no-brainer.
A snub. He was snubbed, man.
Well, he said he did audition for someone in one of the first or second movies. He wasn't entirely sure who he was talking about,
right?
But I get the impression it might have been like Ian Hart's character. Oh no, I know who it was. It was young Tom Riddle. So who's that? That's
right,
Voldemort, right?
Yeah,
as a young, I can't remember who plays him in those early ones, but I'm sure the Harry Potter fans will know. But apparently, that was the part he read for, but it clashed with something else or something like that. Anyway, so Maggie Smith she's got this huge canon of work that I need to delve into. I mean, all of those, Merchant Ivory and Merchant Ivory-esque movies, Room with a View, Gosford Park. I mean, they're all kind of adjacent to one another. Obviously, Gosford Park was like the proto Downton Abbey. That's what Julian Fellowes won his Oscar for, and he was like, "Hang on, I can probably turn this into a TV show," which eventually became sort of the genesis of Downton Abbey. Room with a View, and those Agatha Christie movies again. They all feel very much sort of a piece of a time, that same kind of thing. And Maggie Smith was absolutely part of that, a very integral part of that.
Yeah, and I think that Downton Abbey then becomes the culmination of everything you just said. It's like everything was leading up to her to playing. I mean, could anybody else play the Dowager in Downton Abbey? I mean, she's just, it's like that character was created specifically for Maggie Smith. And if Maggie Smith was not able to do it, they would have done some other kind of situational character. So
almost certainly it does feel sort of tailor-made for her very specific talents and screen presence. And it's, you have to acknowledge that has left a gaping hole now. I mean, because she kept working until very, very recently.
I was WhatsApping. How old was she? Was she 86? 89.
89. And I think she was definitely around right until the end. Like you said, that she did that Downton Abbey movie. That was just a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
A couple of years ago, yeah.
Yeah, I was texting with my little sister actually last night, because she texted me, she's like, "Have you seen Maggie Smith has died?" And I think The Guardian or someone had done a list of 10 best Maggie Smith films, and she was like, "Oh, it's great to see The Lady in the Van on there," which was a role she did. I think it's based on a book, and then she did the movie. I suppose that's probably 10 years ago now, and I realized that was one I haven't seen, and that's considered one of her sort of last great roles, and so that's another one that I think I might visit now, and that'd be a nice way to sort of bookend her career, I think.
Well, that would be something. You mentioned the other movie previously where she plays the teacher. I come to think of it, my recollections of Maggie Smith is she's in a bigger ensemble situation, and I don't know if I've really watched a movie where she was just the lead, and it was the film is tailored around that lead. Murder by Death was ensemble, Harry Potter's ensemble, the Agatha Christie's, those are all big ensembles, Downton Abbey. And so I don't think I've ever really seen her outside of an ensemble.
Right, as sort of the de facto lead of something.
Exactly.
Well, apparently, I mean, I'm just quickly glancing at the Prime Minister Brody. She is a teacher. Phew. And she's definitely the lead of that. And so I think that's definitely one I want to check out. And Lady in the Van, she's definitely the lead of that. I think it's it's pretty much a two-hander, because I think she basically parks her van sort of on the street outside somebody else's house, if it's the one I'm thinking of, and it's about a sort of contemptuous relationship between the residents of that street and her who lives in the van outside. So she's very much the lead of that. So I think that's where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
for my Maggie Smith, Dame Maggie Smith memorial.